Media.
Oh, welcome back to Behind the Bastards, a podcast about the worst people in all of history. And this week, we are about to start part 2 of our episodes on the former richest man in the world, H.L. Hunt. And when we left him off, his dad and his beloved older brother had just died. He had been saved by a magical prostitute after proving supernaturally good at sex. And he's in Arkansas, starting a farm, using the money he'd inherited and the money he'd taken from fleecing all of his friends at poker. He is going to try to make something of himself.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Your pet is your bestie, your therapist, your perfect match. It's easy to love them. It's easy to protect them, too, with pet insurance coverage from Pets Best. Because it's all fun and games until they chew on something they shouldn't. And you get a vet bill to match. With perfect timing, Pets Best helps protect your furry friend and your budget from this imperfect world. Get up to 90% cash back on eligible vet bills from less than $1 a day. Pets Best has plans to cover accidents, injuries, and more. From puppies and kittens to seniors. Find your perfect match plan and get a quote at PetsBest.com. Pet insurance products offered and administered by Pets Best Insurance Services, LLC, are underwritten by American Pet Insurance Company or Independence American Insurance Company. For terms and conditions, visit www.petsbest.com/policy. Products are underwritten by American Pet Insurance Company, Independence American Insurance Company, or MS Transverse Insurance Company, and administered by Pets Best Insurance Services, LLC. $1 a day premium based on 2024 average new policyholder data for accident and illness plans, pets age 0 to 10.
You're listening to a podcast, so you're doing something else too, like maybe scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving places you like without thinking you'll get them, because that's what house hunting has become. But Redfin isn't built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, which means when you find a place you love, you've got a real shot at getting it. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Do you want to find a stress-free way to buy your next car? Start at CarMax and shop your way. If you want to browse with confidence, get pre-qualified online with no impact on your credit score and shop cars within your budget. From luxury cars to family rides, CarMax has options for almost every price range, including more than 25,000 cars priced under $25,000. So, hey, want to get started? Just head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.
Ever wonder how to make hosting look effortless? Here's a secret. Getting ahead of the mess with new Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Just lightly wet the counter beforehand so the paper grips and stays in place. Then lay down the Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper so drips and spills stay on the paper, not all over your kitchen counter. You can roll out dough, prep a party spread, or cook alongside family. When you're done, cleanup is as simple as lifting the paper and revealing that clean counter underneath. Effortless. You can use it for cooking and baking prep and even crafting, especially when you need extra working space. Because when the mess is already handled, you can focus on what matters: the food, the people, and the moment. It may look effortless, but now you know it's Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Take a tip from me: wet it, set it, prep it, done. Make it easy. Make it with Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Available now in the Reynolds Wrap aisle in Walmart, Target, Amazon, and Costco.
So, by the start of 1912, our boy Haroldson Lafayette Hunt had opened his very own cotton plantation. Again, this is probably inspired by the fact that his father had kind of talked endlessly about how beautiful the South was and how great cotton farming was. Unfortunately, he's going to learn a lesson, which is that cotton farming sucks ass. And it's really hard to, get rich doing unless you own a bunch of people who can make work for you for free.
Yep.
Right?
Empire of Cotton History taught me that lesson very clearly. They're
Yes. Yes. When you have to like do your own work and pay people to help you, sucks. Way harder. And he's going to learn that over the next few years, right? He's also going to learn that the cotton market itself is incredibly volatile, right? And so from year to year, your harvest might not be worth what you put in to make it. And also, like, bad weather can fuck you, you know, if you don't have enough of a nest egg to survive it, right? It's just a very hard lifestyle. And this is where the fact that he starts farming and then immediately learns, oh shit, it's really hard to make money cotton farming. This is going to show evidence of one of his most valuable traits, right? Which is that he is not dissuaded by failure. A couple of times in his life, he's going to lose everything, like 3 different times. He loses everything and like makes it back, you know, to ultimately get crazy rich. And if I were writing a LinkedIn post to appeal to a bunch of wannabe founders and CEO bootlickers, I'd end there, right?
Right.
Hunt, you know, bankrupted himself 3 times and he, you know, never let it, you know, convince him to stop. He never backed down. He just got right back on the horse and made the money up again, you know?
Should be president.
And it is, yeah, right. It is true that like confidence in the face of failure is important. You're certainly not going to make it as an entrepreneur unless you can handle some failure, but it's a separate characteristic of Hunt's that's going to contribute a lot more to his future success than the fact that he's fine with failure. The thing that actually keeps him going through all these failures, and particularly through the failure of his cotton business, is that he also owns a casino, right?
Oh,
that has a lot more to do with it than the attitude. I mean, casino's putting it a little far. It's not like a full-on Vegas casino, obviously. Those don't exist yet. But he owns a gambling den, right? An article that Anita Davis wrote for EBSCO notes that Hunt opens a gambling parlor right alongside his cotton plantation. He starts them both basically at the same time. And while the plantation doesn't really work out financially, the gambling den is a good investment, right?
He's like, you know what? Slavery does suck. Let's get to gambling.
Gambling, though, nothing problematic about that, baby. Put it all on red. So one constant of Hunt's early life is that when he suffers a reverse and like loses all of his money, he's able to, it's weird because before I learned this, I would just be like, okay, but he lost all of his money. How does he a year later have like $8,000 to invest in this new business? Well, it's because he keeps gambling. And whenever he runs out of money, he just gambles until he makes more money because he's like, it's a superpower for him. Like he just, as far as I can tell, anytime the man sits down at a table, he walks away with money, right?
Disgusting.
And if you have that, it's like fucking Lieutenant Commander Data, right? Like he's just gonna win when he sits down to play cards. So every time he goes bankrupt, he gets his money back because he's like a gambling freak, right? In 1914, he marries Lyda Bunker, and the newlyweds get to work having the first of what will ultimately be 6 children.
Damn.
Their first child is a girl, Margaret. They have her in 1915, and 2 years later, they have their first boy, who he names Haroldson Lafayette Hunt. Technically, he's the 3rd, right?
Great.
Lyda calls him Hassie. She also calls her husband Hassie, so it's kind of confusing in the book at this point because you'll hear Tussil will refer to both of them as Hassie. I'm only going to call his son Hassie. When I say Hassie, I'm talking about our Harold Hunt, the future richest man in the world's kid. Now, he is going to cheat constantly on his wife. He is cheating on Lyda as early as 1917, probably earlier than that, but at least by that point. And he is not subtle about it. So Lyda has to deal with hearing endlessly about like, oh, your husband sure has an eye for the ladies, huh?
Ew.
Which she does not like. Does not make her feel good. His tell is like the way that she can tell he's cheating on her is he'll point out a lady in town and be like, you know, she's a really good person. And that means Lyda's like, okay, so he's fucking her. Or he's gonna try to fuck her, right? Sometimes it just means that he's
fucking
got the hots
progress.
for somebody.
Like,
right.
Her personality really shines through, you know?
What a great personality she's got. You're just like casually bringing that up to your wife. And yeah, it's one of those things where like she's never okay with it. She kind of, I think, accepts it just because the world is the way it is. She doesn't have there's not much she can do about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it makes her sad. And also his kids can tell that he's cheating on their mom and they don't like it. Like his first 2 kids especially are going to really hate him for the fact that he makes their mother miserable. He treats her so badly. I cannot exaggerate what a bad husband he is. Hunt suffers ups and downs over the first 3 years he spends farming, but World War I finally does his cotton plantation in. The cotton market collapses kind of not long after the outbreak of war. And then in 1917, his farm gets flooded out. And just kind of the mix of these two factors together, he can't keep it going anymore. He has to give up. Somehow, he goes from his, going bankrupt and his farm failing in 1917 to investing in his first oil well in 1921. And there's a little bit of mystery as to how he gets his first oil well. Here's how that pro-oil and gas industry website Oklahoma Minerals describes this part of his career.
Here we go.
So this is the approved propaganda line that Hunt wanted people to believe. With a borrowed $50, he began trading oil leases, employing a strategy of buying and selling that almost simultaneously to profit without significant capital investment. This approach allowed him to amass considerable wealth in a short period. Right? So basically, he's just doing the kind of trading people do on computers now, but with his super smart brain, and he doesn't need much money. It's just a borrowed $50. He's able to turn that gradually into enough of a fortune to start buying his own oil fields. Yeah. That's not quite accurate. That is, it accurately describes one of his strategies, which is that once he gets going, after he has this first successful oil field, he'll start buying and selling leases. And he is doing this thing where he's doing it in such a way that he doesn't have to actually put much money down, right? Because he's just kind of shuffling assets around. It's a little bit of like a shell game type deal.
Okay.
But this does leave out something important about how he got his first oil well. And to describe that, I'm going to go back to his FBI report. From the FBI. Quote, he was reportedly a professional gambler who won an oil lease in a card game and is alleged to have operated prostitution activities in Arkansas. So this is something you'll find. First off, it's not just a gambling den. He's also a pimp, right? That's especially, I think that he gets more into that as the farm fails. He's like, well, crime will make money for me. And he uses the proceeds of both gambling and prostitution in order to make the money that he invests in oil fields. And it's very possible. We don't know entirely if it's that he literally won his first oil field in a card game. That was a rumor. And it seems very possible. But if he didn't win his first oil field in a card game, then he bought it with the proceeds from crime, right? And I think it's probably true. He probably won his first oil field in a card game and then invested in other leases and got into the trading leases game with money he made from crime, right? I think it's probably a mix of those. But this guy has to become a criminal to get rich, right? That's not emphasized enough in the hagiographies of him, but he's a pimp,
So he's going to do all of this and then end up becoming a far right.
super right wing, yeah.
The hypocrisy.
He's not a religious
right
guy initially. Yeah, it's very much a hypocrisy thing. But all these guys
they're all
right?
hypocrites. All big tits in the fucking
anyone
back.
Whose whole thing is attacking and wanting to harm people using the state for violations of a moral code is always in violation of the moral code that they are trying to push on other people, one way or the other. When you dig enough, you find it out, right?
Right.
That's just as far as I'm convinced, a pretty universal truth with these kinds of assholes. I found an article from The Nation from 1964. The author of that article claims the explanation that he gambled to get his first oil field got into print for the first time in 1950 in a British newspaper, but it has been repeated many times since. Hunt denies it all. And I don't know what the truth is here. Whatever the truth, Hunt is going to continue operating gambling establishments for the next couple decades. He makes a fortune on the Arkansas oil boom and is said to have been worth $600,000 by the time he's 25, which, by the standards, if you turn that into modern money, he's a multimillionaire pretty much by the time he's in his mid-20s. Now, he's going to lose all of that money not long after this, but he'll make even more back, right? He's not what you'd call a good father at any point in time, especially in this period.
I can imagine all that cheating.
Yeah. All the cheating. He gambles constantly. He doesn't spend time raising his kids. When he has free time, when he's not working on the farm, he's gambling, right? And then when he's gambling or he's speculating on oil field leases, right? But he never just has downtime with the kids. He's always gambling, right? During the early years before he leaves Arkansas to pursue oil fields in Louisiana and then Texas, his kids tell regular stories of him just being gone all the time and like mom needing to find someone to watch them when she had to do something because he's playing poker, right? And she hates him gambling. She thinks that him gambling is the root of all of their problems. Now, to be fair, she's not right. Like, she blames him gambling on them going bankrupt like 2 or 3 times. And he goes bankrupt because of the legitimate businesses. Like, first because of his farm. And then I think like a couple of times he's not quite bankrupt, but he loses a lot of money on like oil speculation. Gambling is a really reliable way for them to make money. Or at least I should say, the card gambling is not what is bad for their finances. His gambling on oil speculation fucks them over a couple of times. Yeah. Right?
But his ego is fed by the gambling. And that's the thing, too. Is like that makes him reinforce that he's the most special. And what makes it feel like, yeah, I can go out and sleep with whoever I want and do whatever. Because I can just.
Exactly.
Boom.
The rules
Pocket
don't
sand.
apply. Yeah. Pocket sand. Yeah. So he takes all of his money. There's a couple occasions where he'll just like take all of the money and like leave his wife with the kids nearly destitute for like a year and just go down to another state to speculate on oil fields. So the kids don't like, this is a scary time for the kids. They don't know if he's ever coming back, and neither does she. Right. And he doesn't I don't think he makes it clear that he's coming back. I think he's like, I'm going to go see if I can make a fortune. And he's kind of like, and if I die out there or whatever and leave you guys destitute, well, that's how it goes.
Word.
You know,
I've been doing this since I was 12 years old, guys. Don't worry about me.
Right. And like by the time he's worth $600,000 at 25, he could have like retired and put all of that into, you know, a couple of safe investments or just, you know, like fucking bonds or whatever, and lived and supported his family comfortably for the rest of their lives and like been a father. He chooses to then gamble all of that money again and leave his family. He does not need to. He has a point where he's like, you could choose to be a father and raise your kids and you would all be wealthy for the rest of your lives. And he takes all of that money and puts it all on black and loses it. And is gone for like another year or so to make it back, right? So this is not good for his family.
And I'm sure he's in the back of his mind, he's like, listen, I'm not bothering you guys. I'm not harassing you about how much breast milk you guys are getting. So why should you be upset?
Yeah.
I'm giving you unlimited mom time. It's
Nobody
great.
wants their dad around. It sucks.
Dads are terrible.
I'm doing you a favor. And yeah, like his wife blames all of this again on like the poker, but she is right that like his gambling is what's destroying the family. It's just his gambling on oil wells is what's destroying the family. Because they go bankrupt a second time in the 20s because of all this. Yeah. Per the book Kingdom, he gave no thought in the world to security for his family, right? That is accurate, and that's also how his wife and his first couple of kids see him. Right? Is he does not give a fuck about us. He is willing to gamble all like our happiness and our survival entirely because it thrills him. When his oldest son, Hassie, turns 8, it's become apparent that he has inherited his father's intellect. Hassie is incredibly bright. Unfortunately, he's also the one who's most hurt by his father's complete neglect. Tucine writes, Hassie felt personally rejected by this strange man who entered his life only now and then without warning. This man had named him after himself, had given him his looks and quick intelligence, then apparently decided his son was not quite up to snuff, right? So that's very much how Hassie sees what his dad is doing, is like, he named me after himself, he clearly wanted me to be his heir, and then I must have failed him because he wants nothing to do with me.
Ugh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
It's like he's just repeating the exact same cycles of harm. And like psychologically it's interesting, but just as like a human being, like, you're a dick. Stop being a dick.
Yeah, don't do that to your kids. Again, I kind of think if you wind up getting lucky enough that you have like a windfall that allows you to never work again and support your kids forever, you kind of have a responsibility to like be a really involved parent at that point and maybe stop gambling incessantly. You know, you could start a business and like, you know, or you have some small investments, but that's the point at which you should make your family a priority again. You've succeeded.
Right.
You know, you don't need to keep doing this.
You have to choose a struggle. Like either be broke and present or be rich and nice. Like you can't be both mean and then not present and then always messing with money. Like pick a struggle.
In 1925, he abandons his family yet again to speculate on oil fields in Florida. While he's down, and I want to specify that's Florida the state, not Florida the musical sensation. Always there's confusion whenever we talk about those.
It's important to get these things right.
A lot of people know Florida, but don't know that there's a state that's named after him. I just want to make that clear. So while he's down in Florida, he meets a waitress, Frania Tai, who helps him find a plot of land to gamble on near Tampa. It's like he thinks there might be oil, and I think there winds up being oil there. But he spends months down in Tampa, you know, searching for more deals, working on that deal, and hanging out a lot with Frania Tai, with this waitress, right? She's a wannabe musician. She's like a singer. And so he gets really into writing musicals. He convinces himself that like he's a great writer. And in fact that like, oh, all these professional writers are idiots. Like I bet because I'm so smart, I could be the best playwright ever if I just devoted some time to it. So he like becomes convinced he's going to be like the biggest thing on Broadway. He like goes to a show on Broadway once around this period of time, and he's like, I'm going to make the best musical that's ever been made.
Has he ever been to New York? Like, what is he?
He's been once. Yeah, he's been once. He sees a show on Broadway. That's what convinces him he's going to be the greatest musician or the greatest playwright of all time. And so for a while he gets really into that, and he like writes a bunch of songs that sounded terrible, and they're primarily songs for Frania, right? Because he's in love with her at this point. He marries her on Armistice Day, 1925. Now, you may note, he never divorced his first wife. Nor did he break up with her, nor did he tell her that he was done. Frania, by the way, does not know that he's cheating. She has no idea he has another wife. He does not tell her he has a wife and multiple children. He's lying to her, too. Does not bear any responsibility here. She thinks she's met a guy and fall in love with him, and he marries her, and they start having kids together. He buys her a house, and he just starts raising a second secret family in Florida.
Oh my God, so Jamaican.
Frania will ultimately have 4 children. Jamaican?
I can say that. I'm Jamaican. Okay. But it's you like
a lot of people do that.
I know, but it's just like one neglected family is not enough. Let's just have 2.
Yeah.
Just
2. I gotta really double down on my family neglect. Look, 2 neglected families makes a non-neglected family. That's the way it works.
Right.
If you neglect enough families, it loops around to you being a caring father.
Oh, just like a numbers game. It's like his gambling.
Yeah,
He's like,
all a numbers
at
game,
one
baby.
point,
All a numbers
someone's
game.
going to have to like me.
Right. I'm going to eventually find a family I actually want to be there for.
Exactly.
You know?
Statistically speaking.
It's like gambling. Just keep getting new cards. Keep dealing.
Wait, so just to clarify, how many children does he have with the first wife?
Ultimately, he's going to have like 15. He has 6, I think, with his first wife and 4 with Frania. Ultimately, over the course of his life, he has like 15 kids.
It's too many.
Ew.
And again, this is bigamy. He's bigamously married now. This is a crime. You're not allowed to do this. In 1930, because he also lied to the government, right, about not being previously married.
Yeah,
in 1930, he takes his money and he moves to East Texas, where he meets a fellow named C.M. Joyner. So now he has abandoned both of his families. He meets a man named C.M. Joyner, who's another oil speculator. Not a speculator. Joyner is one of these guys, I forget the term for it, but he's like a prospector for oil wells, right? So Joyner identifies some land that's like, I think there's oil on this land. This is like, and I think a lot of it, right? And this well's name is Number 1 Daisy Bradford. Joyner is like a legend in the oil well prospecting business. This is a big deal. Guys like this who are like really skilled enough at geology and stuff to like find, because this is the whole oil boom relies on guys like this going out and because they don't have a lot of the technology we have today. So they're kind of looking at like the geology and whatnot and like, where do I think there's going to be oil? Because it costs a lot of money to like drill to prove that there's oil and
drill
in a property, right? So the guys who are best at identifying places that they think are worth drilling and have the highest success rate are worth a lot of money. And Joyner's one of the best of these guys. And he picks out this space that becomes the oil well number 1, Daisy Bradford. Hunt buys the rights to this oil well, because that's how guys like Joyner make it. They're not running the wells themselves. They find it, and then they buy a bunch of acreage that they think is a good place for an oil well, and then try to find someone else to buy it and actually prove their make the well, right? That's kind of how the business works. I'm yada-yada-ing a lot. But Hunt buys the rights to this well, and he leases 4,000 surrounding acres from C.M. Joyner. So he doesn't own this land. He's leasing it and basically buying the rights to exploit the well. So he and Joyner are in business together initially. This proves to be a really wise move because number 1 Daisy Bradford becomes the largest producing oil field on planet Earth.
Damn.
For years, this is the number 1 oil field on the planet, right? That is going to make a lot of money.
He's going to be so annoying. He's going to be so
He's going to get, this is going to really allow him to be a lot more of a piece of shit. And we'll talk about that. But you know who else is a piece of shit? Nope. I love our sponsors. Here they are.
Killing me.
Guys don't like talking about ED, but if something's been off in the bedroom, you're not alone, and you don't need to wait longer than you need to take action. Getting real treatment is simple, and through HIMS, it's 100% online. At some point, you've got to stop blaming stress, sleep, or just getting older. If bedroom performance is in question, it's probably crossed your mind to do something about it. The good news, you don't have to jump through hoops to fix it. HIMS connects you with licensed healthcare providers online, giving you simple access to legitimate ED treatment options from home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines. You just complete a simple online intake form, and a provider will review your information and determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door in discreet packaging. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/BTB. That's hims.com/BTB for your free online visit. hims.com/BTB. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is the generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris, a Viatris Specialty LLC. HIMS is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris.
Protect your pet with insurance from Pets Best. Plans start from less than $1 a day. Visit petsbest.com. Pet insurance products offered and administered by Pets Best Insurance Services, LLC, are underwritten by American Pet Insurance Company or Independence American Insurance Company. For terms and conditions, visit www.petsbest.com/policy. Products are underwritten by American Pet Insurance Company, Independence American Insurance Company, or MS Transverse Insurance Company, and administered by Pets Best Insurance Services, LLC. $1 a day premium based on 2024 average new policyholder data for accident and illness plans, pets age 0 to 10.
This is Martha Stewart from the Martha Stewart Podcast. Ever wonder how to make hosting look effortless? Here's a secret. Getting ahead of the mess with new Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Just lightly wet the counter beforehand so the paper grips and stays in place. Then lay down the Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper so drips and spills stay on the paper, not all over your kitchen counter. You can roll out dough, prep a party spread, or cook alongside family. When you're done, cleanup is as simple as lifting the paper and revealing that clean counter underneath. Effortless. You can use it for cooking and baking prep and even crafting, especially when you need extra working space. Because when the mess is already handled, you can focus on what matters: the food, the people, and the moment. It may look effortless, but now you know it's Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Take a tip from me: wet it, set it, prep it, done. Make it easy. Make it with Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Available now in the Reynolds Wrap aisle in Walmart, Target, Amazon, and Costco.
Hi, I'm Cindy Crawford, and I'm the founder of Meaningful Beauty. Well, I don't know about you, but I never liked being told, oh, wow, you look so good for your age. Why even bother saying that? Why don't you just say you look great at any age, every age? That's what Meaningful Beauty is all about. We create products that make you feel confident in your skin at the age you are now.
Meaningful Beauty. Beautiful skin at every age. Learn more at meaningfulbeauty.com.
And we're back. Sophie didn't notice that, so it's fine. We're good. We're good. We're happy. Everything's fine.
I am unhappy.
Fine. Sophie's happy. She just says that when she's happy. She loves saying I'm unhappy to mean I'm happy.
She's just so beautiful.
Classic
you can't
Sophie.
tell, but she's unhappy.
Classic Sophie. So that piece from The Nation that I've been quoting from outlines some of the weirdness around this oil deal for what's going to become the biggest oil field in the world, number one Daisy Bradford. Quote, as a matter of mysterious fact, he, Hunt, wound up with most of the land Joyner started with. Nobody has ever figured out how he did it. Hunt says it was simple. He paid $1 million, but Joyner died with little money, and the almost uncountable riches Hunt has taken from Joyner's old land has turned some Texas oil men sour on him. So basically, people are pretty sure Hunt did something to screw Joyner out of a lot of money and like kind of ruin him. But we don't know that happened. Joyner might have just squandered it, right? Some of those oil men might have had sour grapes. That said, I think there's a pretty good chance Hunt fucks this guy. Like, he does not have a history of being great with his business partners. Yeah, exactly. He fucks everything else. That said, all these other oil guys probably do have sour grapes because Hunt is not just a good oil man. He is the best oil man of like the first big oil boom. He is the best at this by a huge margin. He starts making money hand over fist not long after this point, and this is the end of his boom and bust cycles. He will never be poor again. He will never be out of money again. This well makes so much money that he's able to buy up more oil wells. He eventually owns hundreds of oil wells. I think it's like more than 500. I forget the exact number, but he owns so many fucking oil wells, and so many that he accumulates an almost impossible seeming percentage of the U.S. oil market. He lives in Tyler, Texas during this period, where he was noted by others as he's like, this is when he's starting to really get rich he's a loner, right? He doesn't like to, the oil well guys, the guys who are like working on these wildcat rigs and stuff, like socialize, they like to party, they like to go out and drink. He doesn't socialize with any of his colleagues or any of his subordinates. He doesn't like to know them. He likes to work. He spends his free time doing extra work in his office, indoors, not outside. He prefers making deals to doing any labor on any of the claims that he owns. The son of one of his business partners at the time recalled, Mr. Hunt never forgot anything. Map, statistics, lease data, he's never forgot. So he's got this like eidetic memory, I think is the term for it, right? Where he just doesn't forget things. Hunt has had to abandon his family at least twice to get to this point, but by now he has finally made it. And as the 1930s turn into the 1940s, he is making money hand over fist. Now, the case made in that article in The Nation, which is the best explanation I've seen anyone give as for why Hunt succeeds so far hard, goes like this. He never stops gambling. And that's what works for him ultimately. His whole driving intellectual justification for his business practices is the law of averages. He thinks about being an oil speculator the same way he thought about playing poker. As Hunt himself said, quote, an element of luck is important when you first get started in the business. If you don't get a well fast, you can't accumulate the capital to start operating on a large enough scale. But after you start rolling, what you mainly need is a thorough knowledge of the laws of chance. A wildcatter can expect to bring in one well for every 30 tries, and only one man in 30 will do that if you don't have faith in the law of averages. You'll probably get discouraged and quit. In my wildcatting days, I've drilled 100 dry wells, one after the other. Then when prospects looked most pessimistic, the law of averages would go to work for me, just as I figured it would. Now, that article goes on to note, after Hunt's quote, the boldness of that statement can be understood only when one realizes that $250,000 is not an unusual cost for wildcatting a single well. So when he says he'd have 100 dry wells in a row, each of those dry wells is costing like $250,000. That's just wasted.
Crazy.
Like that, he is gambling. That's why he loves this is gambling. We're not putting fucking $4,000 ass down on a night of poker.
Right.
We're putting $250,000 on one roll of the fucking dice.
This is his kink.
And he's doing that hundreds of times. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
It's so bizarre. I also I can't imagine growing up, poor, having that be your origin story and being so casual with risking everything.
No.
Like, I would just want to be so comfortable with my 2 wives. Like, it was...
I think that's part of the key is he doesn't grow up poor. He as one of 8 kids, inherits $5,000, which is a shitload of money at that point in time, right? That's a comfortable inheritance. His dad has a 500-acre farm. They are not poor because
he wants to have that message for himself.
Right, right. Like, I am in that kind of boat where, like, I didn't grow up, we certainly weren't dirt poor, we were never missing meals, but, like, my earliest memories are all of financial anxiety because, like, my mom tried to start a business and then another, and they both failed, and we went fucking broke. You know, our aunt and uncle, who were, like, business partners, went bankrupt. Like, my dad had to leave for, like, almost 2 years to work in New York because it was the only place he could get a job, and that wasn't our house. And once I started making money, I don't gamble. Like, I don't gamble and I don't, like, invest in crazy shit. Like, I'm really conservative with, like, in my investments and, like, finances, for, like, saving for retirement.
Yeah.
I am very risk averse because I don't want to be scared about money again because I spent a lot of my life scared about money.
Yeah. I used to even make fun of my mom because she would do, like, the lotto tickets every day. And I'm like, Mom, why are you doing it? Just save your money. Give me it. Give me the money. I'll save it.
Yeah. So again, I think that he's like this in part because he doesn't grow up poor, right? So he also has a superpower. So he knows he can always make more money gambling, which I think really helps too. That said, you know, obviously this doesn't work smoothly or perfectly. Hunt has his ups and downs, but the ups outnumber the downs to such an extent that by the time the U.S. enters World War II, this is the craziest fact. You want to know how rich this guy is, how big a deal he is in the oil and gas industry. At the start of World War II, at the start when the U.S. enters World War II, H.L. Hunt personally owns more oil reserves than all of the Axis powers put together.
Jesus.
Wow. Like, if you want to like little hint about by the time the U.S. enters how fucked the Axis is from the start of that portion of World War II. One guy in the U.S. has more oil than all of the Axis powers have access to. One guy. They could never have won once the U.S. got involved. Like, when you got the U.S. and Russia, so like all of the money and resources and all of the people, like you're like these people were so fucking fucked. H.L. Hunt has more oil than all of your asses.
Just drop him on the board, just like we have a Hulk, we have a Hunt. It's just
we've got our fucking Hunt. Yeah. Now, that also, by the way, should answer the question. I shouldn't have to explain at this point, how did this guy become the richest man in the world? When World War II started, he owned all of the oil. How do you think that worked for him? That's my like business hack advice is own all of the oil on Earth when a world war starts.
Write that down, everyone.
When that world war starts. Might not help you the same way if a third one kicks off, folks. So I would be remiss if I didn't point out, though, that owning the most productive oil wells on Earth during World War II was not Hunt's only business in the early to mid-1940s. His FBI file notes that, as of 1943, he was alleged to be the operator of a private horse race and gambling bookie establishment near his office in Dallas. So he continues running a casino, but at this point it's just for fun, right? It's love of the game. He doesn't need the money.
Vibes.
He absolutely, and he'll get in trouble a couple of times. There'll be some like investigations because he stays involved in a lot of illegal gambling stuff as an adult. He'll nearly get in trouble a couple of times, but it's just for shits and giggles at this stage. Now, obviously, up to this point, this is like a dude who I don't think is very pleasant, but there's not enough to make him a bastard. You know, at this stage in the oil and gas industry, he doesn't know about climate change. That's certainly not like the widespread scientific consensus. So we can't really get him on that. He hasn't done anything. He's a shitty dad and he's bigamously married. And those are bad things. But on its own, I don't do it behind the bastards just because a guy's got a shitty personal life. So now we're going to talk about the stuff that makes him earn his way onto the podcast.
I'm nervous because it's World War II time.
I know.
He's not too terrible.
I'm nervous.
You know, he's firmly right wing by the time World War II starts. I haven't seen any allegations of pro-Nazi sentiment, but he's anti-intervention at the start of the war and opposes U.S. entry into the war, right? Which suggests to me maybe
some alignment, some Midford alliance,
sympathies there. Yeah. That said, once the war starts, he realizes that because of the way oil depletion allowances work in tax laws, and I'm not going to explain this in detail because I don't know much about taxes, but it's this thing that because of the way it works, you can kind of not pay taxes at all if you're an oil man in a specific way, right?
Okay.
Per his biographer, Hunt began to realize that maybe he had been a trifle hasty in opposing American intervention. So basically, he's like, wait a second, I can sell all of the oil to the Allied powers and I don't have to pay taxes on it? No, World War II sounds great.
It's like, I can make this work.
Yeah, make as many Shermans as you guys want. What do those things get? Half a mile to the gallon? Awesome. Yeah, keep rolling those fuckers off the line. So his big fear, though, during this period of time is that his son, Hassie, now 22 years old, might get drafted, right? He doesn't want his boy, his namesake, to go to war and die. So he works out a deal with the U.S. government because, Hassie's got to serve. They're drafting everyone they can. So his son joins the army and gets commissioned immediately as a second lieutenant, right? Which is not like, that some people do join and are commissioned immediately, second lieutenants and stuff. That's how you start if you're like an officer. But his son specifically gets commissioned because of who his dad is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nepo baby.
The job, a very Nepo baby thing, and he doesn't want to be a Nepo baby. By this point in time, Hassie has already established himself independently as a successful oil man, like separate from his dad. And he hates his dad. And he really does not want to be associated with his father. And his dad forces him, by working with the government, forces him into the situation that now he's made to join the army and he's made to take a job with the army where he's working in DC and he's basically advising the leader of China's nationalist faction during their civil war. So he's like working with Chiang Kai-shek's guys, specifically, I think, on like oil, a lot of oil related stuff. And he's doing this because his dad makes this job for him. He doesn't want this job and he's really unhappy to be forced to once again live in his dad's shadow. This like fucks him up a lot. In the book Kingdom, Tusil writes about how Hassie has if he'd wanted to, this would have been a great opportunity if he enjoyed being a Nepo baby to spend the war partying and hitting on all the hot ladies who are lonely because the men are gone. That's how Tusil writes. And then he adds this, just yet another fascinating passage from his biography. The variety of females was enhanced by the Chinese nationalist government, which staffed its embassy heavily with nubile young beauties from the Asian mainland. Willing young females have always been one of the Earth's most readily accepted forms of currency, and currency was required to purchase power and influence.
Jesus
Gross.
Christ.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm sure the Chinese nationalist government did staff their embassy with hotties because they know that allows them to you can use hot girls to help you spy on people.
Yeah.
And you can use them to gain blackmail stuff. But that's a gross way to write that. Also, the variety of females.
Yeah.
He always uses females that way. Like a fucking
language.
Ferengi.
It's the females are nubile.
The fuck, man?
Please. I'm vomiting.
It's weird. It's weird, Tusil. It's weird. But I don't doubt also that that is basically what's going on, right? Hassie is very unhappy in this situation. He had been he'd been living independently. He was starting to succeed on his own. And then his dad uses the US government to trap him and force him to take the job his dad wants him to have. It's the most controlling thing that you could possibly do as a father. And this is very in line with how he is as a dad. He's never there and he never provides any emotional support, but he also has a very specific idea of what he wants his namesake to do for a living. Mm-hmm. And he will berate him and scream at him anytime he does anything different or anytime he falls short. And now he's like, oh, you want to live independently and do your own thing? No, fuck you. You're taking this job that I've made the government give you, and you're going to do it. Yeah. And Hassie is deeply uncomfortable. And he has what sounds like a psychotic break one night after a party at the Chinese embassy and flies into a violent rage, destroying all of the furniture in the room and fighting people. And when hotel staff approach him, he starts screaming, I've been betrayed! Betrayed by the Rockefellers! Betrayed by my father's enemies! They're all out to get me! So maybe it's kind of hard. I don't know what's going on with him. It may have been paranoid schizophrenia because he's never going to get better. He's mentally ill the rest of his life.
He broke him. He broke his boy.
Yeah.
I do love that the Rockefellers come up that way all the time. Betrayed by the Rockefellers. Yeah. That's what I was laughing at.
The scene of every crime.
Just for the record.
But in this case, they are literally in play.
But I love I do love how it's like they have his son ends up doing like a rival oil company the same way like his brother and his dad had the rival banks. It's just like fathers and sons.
Yeah. Great
Succession.
Stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so Murdoch coded the way that he was like, much. I'm just going to absorb you into the coalition, whether you want to be independent or not. It's so Murdoch.
Oh, you don't have any choice in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hassie winds up in a military hospital. And when his dad comes for a visit, Hassie like charges him and tries to beat him up. Like he basically rushes his dad. As soon as his dad like walks into the room and tries to assault him, he has to be restrained by guards. H.L. Hunt tells his wife after this, "The boy's too high-spirited, too sensitive. He's always been too sensitive and reckless. Why? There's nothing wrong with the genes in that boy. He comes from the finest stock." Ew. Problem is, his genes are good. They come from me. It's got to be that, his personality. He made choices to be too sensitive, That's what's wrong with him. And when he says this, his daughter, Margaret, his oldest child, who's there, turns to him and replies, "You destroyed Hassie. Nobody but you. You've gotten away with a kind of murder, and it's time you faced up to that."
Eldest daughter.
That's some good fan fiction right there. That's it.
Got his ass.
Oh, yeah. Living up to the Margaret name. Yeah. We love it.
Yeah, living up to that Margaret name. And you know who else is named Margaret? Not the sponsors of our podcast, maybe, but we don't know. They could be.
What if it's a promo for cool people who do cool stuff?
Again, they could be. Could be. Not impossible. No way to know. Here's ads.
It's possible. It'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Your pet is your bestie, your therapist, your perfect match. It's easy to love them. It's easy to protect them, too, with pet insurance coverage from Pets Best. Because it's all fun and games until they chew on something they shouldn't. And you get a vet bill to match. With perfect timing, Pets Best helps protect your furry friend and your budget from this imperfect world. Get up to 90% cash back on eligible vet bills from less than $1 a day. Pets Best has plans to cover accidents, injuries, and more. From puppies and kittens to seniors. Find your perfect match plan and get a quote at PetsBest.com. Pet insurance products offered and administered by Pets Best Insurance Services, LLC, are underwritten by American Pet Insurance Company or Independence American Insurance Company. For terms and conditions, visit www.petsbest.com/policy. Products are underwritten by American Pet Insurance Company, Independence American Insurance Company, or MS Transverse Insurance Company, and administered by Pets Best Insurance Services, LLC. $1 a day premium based on 2024 average new policyholder data for accident and illness plans, pets age 0 to 10.
This is Martha Stewart from the Martha Stewart Podcast. Ever wonder how to make hosting look effortless? Here's a secret. Getting ahead of the mess with new Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Just lightly wet the counter beforehand so the paper grips and stays in place. Then lay down the Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper so drips and spills stay on the paper, not all over your kitchen counter. You can roll out dough, prep a party spread, or cook alongside family. When you're done, cleanup is as simple as lifting the paper and revealing that clean counter underneath. Effortless. You can use it for cooking and baking prep and even crafting, especially when you need extra working space. Because when the mess is already handled, you can focus on what matters: the food, the people, and the moment. It may look effortless, but now you know it's Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Take a tip from me: wet it, set it, prep it, done. Make it easy. Make it with Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Available now in the Reynolds Wrap aisle in Walmart, Target, Amazon, and Costco.
Now I'd like to introduce you to Meaningful Beauty, the famed skincare brand created by iconic supermodel Cindy Crawford. It's her secret to absolutely gorgeous skin. Meaningful Beauty makes powerful and effective skincare simple, and it's loved by millions of women. It's formulated for all ages and all skin tones and types, and it's designed to work as a complete skincare system, leaving your skin feeling soft, smooth, and nourished. I recommend starting with Cindy's full regimen, which contains all 5 of her best-selling products, including the amazing youth-activating melon serum. This next-generation serum has the power of melon leaf stem cell technology. It's melon leaf stem cells encapsulated for freshness and released onto the skin to support a visible reduction in the appearance of wrinkles. With thousands of glowing 5-star reviews, why not give it a try? Subscribe today and you can get the amazing Meaningful Beauty system for just $49.95. That includes our introductory 5-piece system, free gifts, free shipping, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. All of that available at meaningfulbeauty.com.
Did you know you can get your PrEP for free? PrEP is a once-daily pill that's up to 99% effective at preventing the transmission of HIV. Mr. makes it easy and free to get started. All online, no doctor's office, and no paperwork. They also provide free DoxyPep, a simple antibiotic you take after sex to help prevent certain STIs. Kind of like morning after pill for STIs. Whether you have insurance or not, Mister's got you covered in 3 easy steps. 1, sign up at Mister.com. 2, consult with a licensed doctor online. And 3, complete your at-home testing kit. Then your medication is delivered discreetly right to your door. It's safe, easy, and completely judgment-free. Protect yourself and protect each other. Sign up at Mister.com today.
And we're back. So, speaking of being a great parent and husband, back in 1934, Frania, his second wife, had figured out that he had another secret family, right? I don't know exactly how, but she finds out that they've got another secret family. And they drift apart after that. She's not happy about this. Per the Texas State Historical Association, Hunt apparently shipped her off to New York and in 1941 provided trusts for each of the 4 children. A friend of his, John Lee, married her and gave his name to the children. For an idea, he's so rich now. When his second family gets pissed and leaves in order to like hide what he's done, he basically, I'm sure, pays his friend to marry the family and pretend to be the father of those kids.
That's so weird.
Crazy stuff.
That's so
wild.
Weird. Some people have too much money.
Shit.
Like, it's just like, you could just be a dad. You could just have...
Everyone who's ever been the richest man in the world has had too much money. We could start there.
Yeah, period.
But, yeah.
It's just like, ew.
Yeah, gross shit. In 1946, right after the war ended, a coal strike hits the East Coast. So there's this strike for the same reason people always strike, and it's causing this like energy shortage. And Hunt breaks the strike by supplying huge amounts of natural gas to the Southwest. Basically, you guys don't need coal from these coal miners. I've got all of this union-free natural gas. And he winds up supplying 85% of the fuel needs of the East Coast.
Jesus.
Again, not surprising that in 1948, I think Life magazine names him the richest man on Earth. He has an estimated net worth of $263 million, which would be the equivalent of like $3.5 billion today. But he can't rest or sit on his laurels. The United States was only able to win World War II by partnering with the communists. And he came to believe that a vast conspiracy was at work to destroy the United States from the inside. And H.L. Hunt knows a communist uprising would be very bad for H.L. Hunt, right? He really does not want to see any of that go down. His businesses he doesn't think will do well.
He's like, these are my money. This is my money.
Yeah. Oh, they're not going to like me. By the start of the 1950s, Hunt had figured out his own path out of the dangers of socialism. He begins envisioning and sketching out the dimensions of his ideal utopian state, which is this kind of like dream libertarian capitalist republic, where votes are assigned in elections based on how much you pay in taxes.
Oh my God.
That's the primary thing that determines how many votes you get. Yeah, we'll talk more about that later. Some might call an idea like this fascism adjacent, but Hunt doesn't care. His life has taught him that reality would mold to fit whatever he wants. So he decides to brute force his dream utopia into being. He's going to make America become this country. He's very much like a proto Peter Thiel type. He has this dream after he gets rich of how to reorganize society so that he doesn't have to listen to anyone else. And he then begins putting his money into supporting a variety of causes and making media that will convince all of the dummies who are everyone else in the United States that what he wants is best for everybody. He becomes a vocal supporter of Senator Joseph McCarthy, who he saw as a patriot protecting the nation from a vast cabal of secret communist agents who had infiltrated every level of society. Hunt decides to fight back against this left-wing infiltration of all of our cultural and social governmental organs by funding one of the first explicitly right-wing media organizations in the country. The Facts Forum, founded in 1951, was immediately the best-funded propaganda outlet in the United States. On paper, the Facts Forum was nonpartisan and educational. It has to be nonpartisan.
No, it's
it has
nonpartisan.
To be
we just
balanced.
care about the country.
Right.
We just care about the facts, baby.
Just facts and education, because if you're nonpartisan, if you're balanced and educational, then your content, your radio and television is tax exempt, right? You don't have to pay taxes on
Fair
it.
And balanced.
Basically, you get a tax write-off for whatever you put into the media, which will allow Hunt to not pay taxes, right? That's the big benefit of this, is that it doesn't actually cost him money. The money that he spends on this is basically what he does instead of paying taxes because of how the tax system works. So his choice is basically either pay taxes and fund like society, or put it all into right-wing propaganda. And he's like, well, I would much rather put it all in the right-wing propaganda.
He's like, I'm going to bet on red.
Yeah. In one early letter, Hunt describes the vision behind the Facts Forum as a kind of projection of the old New England town hall meeting idea. We have no axe to grind and no funds to raise. Now, that last bit was technically true. He was the richest man in the world. He does not beg for donations, right? But he does beg his listeners to organize in person, advising them to set up discussion groups from 7 to 42 members and read books together and talk about the ideas that he's putting out through the show. And in doing this and suggesting this, he's cribbing off of what he understood as the playbook the Bolsheviks had used to take power. If you listen to that, there's all these reading groups, socialist reading groups all throughout the Russian, Tsarist Russia, that wind up being the core of all, not just the Bolsheviks, all of these different left-wing revolutionary groups, right? A lot of them start as book clubs. And he's very much, and a lot of anti-communists in this era, post-World War II, that's the John Birch Society too, is what if we take the tactics these leftists are using, but we turn it towards basically pro-fascist bullshit, right?
What if we give them the books that we like, and then we make them read it, our books, and we write the books?
Right. Maybe we can make people be violent militant revolutionaries in favor of us not paying taxes. Yeah. So the Facts Forum has a membership list and a newsletter, which was free to be outright partisan in a way that the radio show could not. That for whatever reason, the newspapers and stuff that he puts out don't have to abide by any of these rules. Every 3 weeks, members were polled on current affairs. And the results, this is really interesting to me that he figures this out, is he has his membership answer polls that he writes, and then he sends the results to newspapers as if they're real polls that are evidence of how Americans feel about issues. And a lot of newspapers publish this as if it's the news, as if these polls are represent how Americans feel about things, as opposed to what Hunt's really doing, because he's coming up with the polls and it's his set group of people who are answering them. This is a way of laundering his talking points and what he believes about politics into the mainstream media and disguise that as, no, this is just how the masses feel.
Right.
This is how the average American feels. This isn't just H.L. Hunt's opinion, obviously.
Right. And then he can also present himself as I'm not getting anything out of this.
Right.
I'm just trying to inform people about how everything is going on. He's just helping
just what
out.
Americans think. Right. And this is a major propaganda thing today. A lot of people do this now. Hunt is very much like a trailblazer in this. He made his thinking on how this worked very clear in a pamphlet published by the Facts Forum. What you believe and say is public opinion. Public opinion is a constant immutable force which can be altered or changed only by itself.
I don't like him.
When you're literally writing public opinion, yeah, interesting. So from the jump, the only opinion Hunt's interested in was his own. He is not organizing with other conservatives.
Because he's so special, Robert.
Right. He's got the best penis ever.
He's got all that breast
Huge.
milk in him.
Tons of breast milk, way more than you've got.
Special.
Yeah. But this is interesting. He's not like, a lot of like these modern conservative groups are funded by multiple people, and you have like groups coming together to fund these organizations that have their own thinkers in them too, who have like their own, and they're all pushing an agenda, but it's like an agenda that's a mix of multiple people like working together. Hunt's propaganda is just Hunt. He does not talk to anyone else. He doesn't organize with anyone else because he doesn't need to. He hates people, right? He is not interested in the Facts Forum being a place where other conservatives can express their opinions, right?
Okay.
It exists so H.L. Hunt can convince Americans to adopt his politics, because his belief, it's almost a religious belief to him, is that he's so right about everything that if everyone just hears what he believes, everyone will adopt his political beliefs immediately, obviously.
The narcissism.
Right? Now, the only issue for Hunt, and the reason like this is a problem when he starts creating radio and TV propaganda, is that he's terrified of public speaking. He hates talking to people. He has no charisma, and he knows it. So he picks a spokesman.
That's
Dan
interesting.
Smoot.
The man who apparently is so unbelievably fuckable,
right,
has no riz.
He can make a sex worker do whatever, but God forbid he has to sell his ideas.
Nah. Can't convince Americans about his tax policies.
He's like, yeah, I'm a certified sex god, cannot put a sentence together publicly.
Cannot put a sentence together. Can't talk in front of a crowd.
Unless I can helicopter while telling you about my tax policy, it's just not going to work.
I'll write it on my dick. Yeah.
And there you go.
So he picks a spokesman, Dan Smoot. And I don't have time to do a BTB on Dan Smoot, but he deserves one. Smoot was orphaned at 10 years old, and then as a young adult is rejected by the Army for medical reasons at the start of World War II. And so he joins the FBI in order to serve his country that way.
Yeah. There you go.
He's in the FBI until 1951, when he resigns to work for Hunt. And what's fair on the...
Is he what Greasy Wheel would call a side bastard?
Yeah, he's definitely a...
Side bastard.
So, in What's Fair on the Air, Heather Hendershot writes of Smoot, he was willing to temper his arch conservatism by giving two sides to the political issues discussed. So that's like a major thing. Smoot has to be able to pretend to want to discuss fairly what the other side believes. Now, his face and his vote, it's always clear what he actually believes and what he doesn't like saying. But as long as he says it, that's all that matters. Now, these were still the days in which the Fairness Doctrine held sway. The Fairness Doctrine is a 1949 FCC policy that required broadcast license holders to present controversial issues in a manner that fairly depicted differing views. Individual shows didn't have to abide by this, but license holders did. So if you have a right-wing show, you're supposed to have like a left-wing show too, right? And because that's very expensive, networks are always looking for balanced news programs to fill the air, where you don't have to have a second one to counteract the bias of the first one, right? So they're always desperate for balanced content. And the fact that Hunt is making this and giving it to networks for free makes it really attractive to them. Like, they're going to give it free airtime because it's free. In 1951, the Facts Forum benefited from about $5 million per year in free public service airtime. And again, I think there's tax benefits to the networks for running balanced educational content too, so that's also makes this attractive to them. One estimate I've seen is that in 1954, Hunt benefited from the modern-day equivalent of $500 million a year in free airtime, which is... The calculation is that in 2016, in that election, Trump got about $1 billion in free airtime, just in terms of like, because of how much coverage the news gave everything he said. So the fact that Hunt's getting $500 million a year for that for years is significant. That's a lot of free airtime, right? It's about 25,000 hours of free right-wing propaganda on the radio and TV per year that's marketed and billed as nonpartisan. Interesting.
Peak Crossfire energy. It's like, we're just having a conversation. Yeah. It's
right.
just so,
he's invented Fox News. Yeah. Yeah. His shows all air on struggling networks that need free content, which at that point meant the Mutual Radio Network and ABC. This quote from What's Fair on the Air gives you a good idea of how episodes of Facts Forum tend to go. One episode of Facts Forum asked whether those advocating the violent overthrow of the U.S. government should be subject to the death penalty. On the pro side, the answer was yes, of course, such a conspiracy was worse than murder. On the con side, the argument was that such conspirators were only dupes or communist sympathizers. Dangerous, yes, but those were just misguided pawns whose civil rights should be respected. Thus, as one critic described it, a negative argument against the death penalty for communist conspirators turns into a positive affirmation that the nation is in imminent danger of collapse from subversion, a favorite Facts Forum thesis, right?
Wow.
So that's how, even though they're kind of pretending that this is non-biased, everyone, even the left-wing argument, pushes a right-wing narrative. And there are critics who noticed this at the time. In 1954, Ben Bagdikian, which is a real name, wrote a takedown of the Facts Forum. Yeah, complaining that when it used the terms pro-Soviet and un-American, it meant, quote, those terms include the Roosevelt and Truman administrations and the people who supported them, right? So, yeah, and when it refers to American freedom, the show means, among other things, a total absence of government regulation in business and a withdrawal from the United Nations.
Laissez-faire.
So they're referring to these things as things everyone believes and agrees with, even though they're very much not. Right? Yeah. And we'll talk more about these his shows, the Facts Forum, the shows that follow that, and Hunt's bizarre personal life and the things he comes to believe about health and wellness. But I think that's all we've got for part 2. So I'm guessing it's going to have to be a 3-parter. Princess, how you feeling at the end of this?
I'm so ready. I want to know more about this guy. I feel like I'm watching the origin of so much evil.
Yes. Well, good stuff, everybody. Good stuff. So that's it, everybody. We're done for the day. Why don't you go and I don't know, love yourself.
Touch grass.
Love yourself. Love me. Love someone else.
Love your 2 families.
Yeah.
Or 4.
Behind the Bastards is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com. Or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Full video episodes of Behind the Bastards are now streaming on Netflix, dropping every Tuesday and Thursday. Hit Remind Me on Netflix so you don't miss an episode. For clips and our older episode catalog, continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@BehindTheBastards. We love about 40% of you, statistically speaking.
This is Martha Stewart from the Martha Stewart Podcast. Ever wonder how to make hosting look effortless? Here's a secret. When prepping for cooking and baking, get ahead of the mess with new Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Just lightly wet the counter so the paper grips. Lay it down, and drips and spills stay on the paper, not on your counter. Cleanup is as simple as lifting it away to reveal clean counters. Effortless? It is, thanks to Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Wet it, set it, prep it, done. Available in the Reynolds Wrap aisle at Walmart, Target, Amazon, and Costco.
Did you know you can get your prep for free? Mr. provides 100% free prep and DoxyPep prescribed online and delivered right to your door discreetly. Whether you have insurance or not, Mr.'s got you covered in 3 easy steps. 1, sign up at Mr.com. 2, consult with a doctor online. 3, complete your at-home test kit. And then your prep and DoxyPep come right to your door. No doctor's office, no needles, no paperwork. Easy, judgment-free, and totally online. Head to Mr.com and get started today.
Owning a home is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. And when something breaks, it can feel like the whole day unravels. That's why HomeServe exists. For as little as $4.99 a month, you'll always have someone to call. A trusted professional ready to help, bringing peace of mind to 4.5 million homeowners nationwide. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to HomeServe.com. That's HomeServe.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
There's a fire inside you can't ignore. Stand still? Not a chance. You're a lifelong learner who's come this far. Now, we're here to help you keep going further. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.